Before we go any further, a crucial heads up, and please, viewer discretion is essential. What you're about to hear is presented as if it were real, a dramatic account pulled from leaked documents and hidden testimony. But according to the source itself, the video we're analyzing here contains satirical and dramatized storytelling based on public personas and internet rumors. It explicitly states it's entirely fictional, not factual reporting, and the events described are imagined for narrative effect. We're diving into the story as that video tells it, exploring the chilling narrative it weaves, but it's vital to remember this is a fictional construct styled to look like real courtroom drama. It wasn't a real leak from a real raid. The story begins with the fictional premise of an accidental forwarding by an intern on a major tour, a mistake that allegedly pulled back the curtain on something terrifying. The courtroom, in the story presented in the video, was dead silent when the supposed email chain hit the screen. It wasn't just what the email seemed to say, but who it chillingly seemed to connect. The video narrative claims it started innocently enough, a simple logistics memo with a subject line like VIP review, Nashville plus Tampa. But buried deep within that chain, allegedly found 12 emails down, was a single red highlighted instruction. Send the scout names directly to LA. Mark Combs. In the story's depiction, the judge leans forward, the gallery freezes. Because that word, scout, attached to her, to Taylor Swift, within this alleged network, it was something no one was supposed to ever see. Yet, in this fictional account, there it was. Taylor Swift, her colossal tour, and a roster of allegedly scouted VIPs supposedly routed straight to Diddy's team. The video narrative describes the prosecution immediately requesting a sealed review, but within the story's dramatic timing, it was too late. The document, marked Exhibit 42A, stayed glowing on the courtroom screen, setting the stage for the disturbing tale that would unfold in this dramatized testimony. The narrative flashes back to the Eras Tour launch in 2023. At first, within the story, nobody noticed anything amiss in the whirlwind of sold-out stadiums and global frenzy. The tour was a machine, but the fictional account describes one tour assistant noticing something strange. At nearly every major stop, a nondescript man, same hat, same glasses, never smiling, never clapping, would just stand near the backstage VIP area, always watching. His name wasn't on any official lists, didn't show up on credential scans, but he was allegedly captured in security photos, always just out of frame. Then, in the story, he vanishes, only to seemingly reappear in the narrative around the Nashville incident and the fictional email leak. Piecing together the dramatic twists and turns in this video's story takes digging, like uncovering deleted messages or figuring out layered cover-ups, which, conveniently for this narrative, mirrors the kind of work the fictional investigators allegedly undertook. The story suggests that newly hired social coordinator accidentally BCC'd the full routing list to an inactive management account, one supposedly still linked to a prior Swift LLC archive. That fictional archive, the narrative explains, was subpoenaed later during an unrelated investigation into Diddy's past event sponsors. A plot device to explain how this supposed scout names phrase became part of this fictional federal case. In the video's portrayal of Day 3 testimony, a fictional witness takes the stand, name redacted for dramatic effect, identified as a former VIP coordinator for the southeast leg of the Eras Tour. She testifies calmly at first, until questioned about the scout list. In the story, she says she thought it was for fan experiences, that she didn't know those names weren't going to meet and greets. The prosecutor in this narrative asks, "Where did those names go?" And the fictional witness replies, "They went west. That's what they told me. Send them west." She recounts asking why, just once, and receiving a chilling message in the story. "Stars don't look back. Neither should you." The room falls silent. The video displays a fictional screen flash with 3 redacted names under Scouted Nashville, alongside brief, tragic outcomes within the narrative. One girl who went viral then deleted her socials, another denied a dancer slot for being too visible, and a third who hasn't posted since July 2023, plot points designed to add weight to the fictional allegations. The dramatic tension builds in the video's courtroom portrayal on Day 4, as the prosecution introduces Exhibit 42B, The lights dim for dramatic effect as a red scuffed Pelican case is wheeled in. Inside, a solid-state drive labeled Miami Night 6 Combs. The video narrative reveals this fictional drive was recovered from the locker of a former security consultant, now cooperating with the fictional federal agents. This unnamed man in the story allegedly ran private protection for Diddy during celebrity convergence weekends at luxury mansions. One such weekend, May 2023, Miami, right after Taylor Swift's tour passed through Florida. The drive, the narrative claims, contained something unexpected, a folder titled Scout Sync. And inside that, video logs. The video plays a short audio clip, allegedly from these fictional logs, featuring a male voice. "Yo, this is confirmation. Swift VIP polls are clean. Forwarded to Shell East. List contains initials TS flagged. Don't touch her. She's heat right now. Let her work." The room freezes in the story, not because Taylor Swift is mentioned as a participant in anything illicit, but because she's allegedly discussed like a known variable, a neutral asset in a system the fictional narrative claims she never knew existed. "She's heat right now. Don't touch her. Let her work." The video narrative suggests this phrasing triggered a high-level review within their fictional investigation, implying something even darker, that they had supposedly tried before and been warned off, or that approaching someone so prominent required extreme caution within this imagined network. The fictional witness number 12, the former security contractor, takes the stand in the video narrative. He recounts spending 3 years working private gigs in various locations, landing him, in the story, in a house with no exits on the bottom floor during a compliance trip. He testifies in the narrative that certain celebrities were often marked for their influence yield, especially those with tour-based infrastructures. Huge moving teams, dense city stops, high fan turnover. Taylor's tour, in this fictional account, was described as the biggest such machine. When asked directly in the story if she was involved, he shakes his head. "No, but she made it easier for them, and I don't think she knew." The video displays a fictional architectural map of a Star Island house, listed as a Combs family production retreat. Guest records, allegedly recovered from the security firm's fictional logs, show a name resembling someone from Taylor's inner circle. The witness in the story claims she never went in, but her team did. The jury in the narrative gasps, and when pressed further, the fictional witness says something that shocks even the judge in the story. "I think they were hoping she'd be the new cover." The narrative suggests they plan to use her clean image as a shield for their alleged operations. A fan video from a Tampa tour stop, originally posted online, is referenced in the video's courtroom scene. In the video, a woman with a clipboard whispers to a man in a gray hoodie, and the girl filming is asked to delete her video. The narrative uses this video as dramatic proof that Diddy's alleged scouts were on site in this fictional universe. Prosecutors, wrapping up the session in the story, submit one final image from security footage, a still of a young woman walking past the stadium loading zone, her face matching a name from the fictional Scout Sync folder. The narrative points out she hasn't posted online since August 2023 and emphasizes she wasn't just a fan. She was allegedly a working intern, credentialed, logged in Swift's backstage system, and now gone from the story's view. If the first part of the story was about a fictional email and the second about a fictional tape, the video narrative presents part 3 as being about a color, specifically the color red. On day 5 in the video's courtroom portrayal, prosecutors unveil a fictional photo collage. 6 pictures, 6 different girls from 6 different cities, all wearing the same shade of red wristband. The narrative stresses these weren't sold publicly or distributed by Ticketmaster. The defense attempts to dismiss them as fan merch in the story, until the prosecution drops Exhibit 42C, an alleged internal text message export from a fictional fan engagement partner. The sender's name is redacted in the narrative, but the texts in the story reveal alarming instructions. Push Crimson 10 only to final shortlist. Do not sync to merch list. It routes directly to Pulse. Confirm VIPs received night 2 invite. Group text only. No individual comms. Diddy wants models. Age ceiling, Chopman 25. The courtroom gasps in the story, because now the narrative's allegations aren't vague. They're presented as personal, direct, documented within this fictional context. The prosecution in the story clarifies that Pulse was the alleged internal label for a Combs-linked private event system, used to organize models, dancers, and press staffers. The video narrative emphasizes this system was not affiliated with Taylor Swift or her team, but the girls who got that text in the story thought they were selected fans. The narrative claims they weren't. They were allegedly targets. A woman takes the stand in the story, holding back tears, recounting how her 20-year-old daughter entered a fictional VIP fan lottery via an Instagram link reposted by a now-deleted page called Swift Surprise Events, which the narrative links back to a fictional Combs shell company. Her daughter received a red wristband in the mail, no branding, just an address. "We thought it was for a secret acoustic set," the fictional mother says in the story. She went, but never made it to the concert. The narrative shows a time-stamped security still of her daughter entering a private gate near the Dallas Stadium, stating she isn't seen leaving. Investigators in the story reveal a shocking discovery. One of the girls on the fictional red wristband list was listed as crew at a 2022 Diddy fashion event in Malibu. She was 19, unpaid, registered under a defunct model agency, which, the narrative claims, shared a bank account with Pulse Guest Relations. This wasn't just scouting in the story, it was network building. The narrative alleges they were building a system, using Taylor Swift's tour stops in this fictional universe as harvesting points. The fictional FBI profiler on site offers an interpretation within the story. Red is used in asset movement to flag early acceptance. It's discreet. It reads as aesthetic, but it tells handlers who's been tapped. The red wristbands in the narrative were alleged tracking devices, low-power RFID tags. That's how they knew where to go next. A final fictional name is displayed. A girl from Atlanta, a Swift superfan in the story, wore a red wristband, documented it on TikTok, then deleted her account. 2 days later, a fictional subpoena recovered her DMs. The last message she sent in the story, he said, "I reminded him of Cassie." The video narrative moves to day 6 in the fictional courtroom, where a new name is revealed in cross-examination, Ariana Grande. The story emphasizes she wasn't on the tour or seemingly connected. But the prosecution in the narrative pulls up fictional Exhibit 42F, a file marked AG Guest Clause carryover from Crimson 10. A fictional digital systems analyst testifies in the story that this clause references a retention marker designed to transfer active tracking tags from one tour to another without the primary artist's knowledge. The judge in the story raises an eyebrow, asking if Ariana Grande's team inherited tracking data from Taylor Swift's tour. The analyst confirms yes in the narrative, adding, "And I don't believe either of them knew." Recovered footage within the fictional presentation shows a luxury hotel rooftop where Ariana was for a private Fashion Week event. That same night in the story, 2 girls from Taylor's fictional red wristband shortlist are photographed entering via service elevator on a separate guest list labeled Carryovers, Swift AGD, allegedly kept by Diddy's private security. A fictional quiet man, a witness in the story, testifies he'd worked dozens of events, but this one stuck with him, pointing to the same girls, saying they didn't act like guests, they acted like they'd been summoned. Some were crying in the hallways in the story. When asked if Ariana was present, he shook his head. She was performing. She had no idea they were even there. In a groundbreaking move within the narrative, prosecutors display a fictional diagram titled Celebrity Pass-Through Model, Tier 1 Talent as Visibility Shields. The concept explained in the story: use massive tours and appearances by clean, high-profile artists to conceal lower-tier exploitative pipelines. Taylor's tour in this narrative wasn't the target, it was the delivery vehicle. Diddy's alleged network in the story simply followed the fan trail, picking select names and rerouting them into other celeb events, with none of the celebrities ever knowing. And Ariana's event was next on this fictional route. Fictional court records display a supposed sponsorship agreement linking both Taylor and Ariana to a fragrance label whose clause allegedly permitted this data transfer, traced back to a consulting group registered under fictional Combs Tech. Neither artist signed directly with them, the narrative claims, but their campaigns were run by firms that did. The prosecution in the story ends the day by playing a fictional voicemail from a burner phone used by a former event wrangler. "Grande is safe. Don't worry, she doesn't. No, just keep using the ones from Swift. They're already marked." The judge in the story orders it sealed, but it's too late. The room in the narrative has heard the last line. The blonde made it easy, the brunette will keep it quiet. The video narrative continues to day 7, introducing fictional exhibit 42H. A single image is projected. A young woman in a Swiftie outfit, friendship bracelets, and a silver cassette tape pendant. The narrative explains this wasn't merch, it was real, found at a Nashville hotel in May 2023. Inside the cassette, a 16-second recording within the story. Muffled static, a female voice saying, "He said, I got lucky that I'm prettier in person." Then, after a pause and breathing, "There's someone behind the mirror. I saw them move." Click. That's all the audio in the story, but it's enough. The narrative reveals this fictional cassette had been tagged as evidence in a missing persons case, now reclassified in the fictional federal case because the girl in the necklace was on the Crimson 10 list from the Nashville show, checked into the hotel event, and was never seen at the concert in the story. When located later, she didn't remember much, but recognized the photo of the missing girl and asked to leave a note for her mom. No note was left, but housekeeping found a red velvet envelope under the bed, a Taylor Swift ticket, a blank wristband, and a torn paper scrap reading, "I won something I didn't sign up for." The narrative describes investigators uncovering a fictional shell campaign, era surprise selection, advertised via DMs, promising VIP experiences, funded by a supposed Combs Experience Group subsidiary. FBI diagnostics in the story allegedly reveal the cassette contained embedded time code for Diddy's fictional security system, a backup key. The girl probably didn't know, the tech expert testifies in the story. The necklace wasn't jewelry, it was part of a recording system used to control room access in the narrative. Surveillance allegedly shows her entering the hotel alone, a blurred man following. The hotel's third floor lost 90 minutes of fictional footage. Maids reported a smell, the fictional doorman's last sighting quote. The narrative paints a grim picture. The video narrative presents fictional courtroom day 8, introducing witness number 27, a backup dancer for the southeast leg of the Eras Tour. His name is sealed for protection in the story. Hands shaking, he testifies, "I saw the wrong tape." In the story, after sound check, he went for water, found a green room locked. A woman in a red dress walked out, looking scared. He walked in the narrative, saw a fictional setup. Tripod camera, red light glowing, faux interview, black curtain, a second woman sitting silently, eyes puffy, 2 men in suits, red folders. He froze. A man told him he wasn't called, wrong room. "This one's private." He left but didn't forget, especially when one of the men tossed him water and said, "Smile next time, we tape everything." He didn't speak for a year in the story, but in January 2025 saw a fictional leaked court clip involving Diddy's alleged vaults and heard his own voice asking, "You good?" The exact moment he spoke to the girl in the red dress in the narrative. That's when he realized they weren't just taping them, they were taping us, everyone, all the time. The narrative claims hotel staff in 3 other cities documented identical fictional setups. Metadata from the fictional leaked clip allegedly revealed a tape ID CCRRTG, Combium's catalog, Red Room, Tour Guest. This ID format was supposedly found on 6 other fictional drives seized during the Diddy case raids, labeled with other artists' initials. None knowingly involved in the story, but one stood out. TSR-RW1, interpreted in the narrative as Taylor Swift, Red Room, Witness 1. When asked if he'd seen the girl again, the dancer shook his head. No. But 2 weeks later in the story, one of their trailers had a fire. Just one, hers. And when they replaced her, the narrative claims they didn't even tell the crew her name. By the video's final courtroom day, Day 9 in the narrative, the story has presented its fictional emails, tapes, witnesses, VIP lists, and disappearances. But Exhibit 42K in the story is different. It's a burnt piece of cardstock from a fictional trash fire outside a Brentwood estate. Half torn, charred, but one thing visible: the fictional invite list, C10 Final, Nashville Drop. And on the back in the narrative, a Swift lyric handwritten in black ink. "I knew you'd haunt all of my what-ifs." The story claims this invite wasn't sent to a celebrity, but to a small fan-run Instagram page called Swift Coded, known for decoding lyrics. But the narrative alleges FBI investigators subpoenaed the IP logs in the story, discovering the account didn't belong to a fan. It belonged to an account manager at fictional Pulse events. The narrative brands this a warning system buried in plain sight, posting about red bracelets before any leaks, mentioning a real tape before the fictional cassette was found, writing lines like, "Not every VIP is meant to return. Some are just meant to be seen." The final fictional post, "When the music stops, don't clap run." The account went dark hours later in the story. In a fictional sealed deposition, Taylor Swift's attorney's statement in the narrative emphasized Miss Swift's lack of knowing participation in any activity beyond authorized programming and stated any use of her brand for exploitative purposes is being investigated. The line that landed in the story, "If her tour was used as a shield, it will be the last time anyone gets away with it." The video plays a final crowd shot from the Nashville era's tour night. Fireworks, cheers, flashlights. And then in the story, for just 1 second, a girl in red in the top corner, not clapping, not cheering, just walking away. Her wristband glows in the narrative. Her face matches one of the names from the fictional Crimson 10 folder, the dramatic conclusion of the video's narrative. She thought she won something. She did. She won the right to disappear quietly.